Hey everybody, it's Mark, Dr. Deadwax, and time for the Inbox Challenge 2, Day 2. Today's numbers were picked by Fred, Big Star 1000. Thanks for playing along, Fred. Last year, you had some good numbers. They pulled some stuff that actually, I think, interested you. I remember Zian, however you pronounce it. That was one of them. This year, I don't know. I'm not sure you're going to like this stack. Anyway, first, thanks everybody for the comments, feedback, well wishes, support from the first video yesterday, and much appreciated, and it's good to interact with everybody. And also, all the videos from this series I talked about before about the VC group, the vinyl community group at Daily Motion, that is open for everybody to come and have a free-for-all in. All the videos from this series will be cross-posted there. Some days they'll go up on YouTube first, some days they'll go up there first. The link to the group at Daily Motion is in the description below. And if the video is already up there at Daily Motion, the link to the video itself on my channel over there will be in the description below. Had a good night tonight. I got to go out to one of my audiophile friends' house. He had a designer come over to audition a new phono preamp and a new line stage preamp that he's built and designed, and he's one of the top designers of audiophile gear in Canada, and not only that, he's actually one of the best. He actually knows what he's doing, and it was amazing to hear this stuff. My friend has a incredibly well-tuned system that runs over $250,000, and this stuff just fit right into it beautifully. So it was just awesome to hear this stuff. This stuff will retail for about 12 grand for the line stage and 12 grand for the photo stage. So way out of my range, but it's great to go hear it. It's great to have that opportunity, that experience. Great to test your ears, learn stuff. Anyway, on to the records. First record is McCoy Tyner Dimensions. This is on Electro Musician, and Gary Bartz, John Blake, John Lee, and Wilby Fletcher are the players with them. I've talked a lot about Electro Musician before. To me, this is a label with so much promise. Electra gave the musicians the opportunity to kind of do what they wanted to do. It's on the Electro Musician Silver label. Sorry, getting texts. SRC and the Deadwax, Specialty Record Corp. This is an American pressing. So, in general, I'm pretty disappointed with Electro Musician releases. Like I said, they hold so much promise because the musicians could do what they want, but most of them date from the early to mid 80s, and they have this incredible, almost a lot of times this smooth jazz, bad fusion, schmaltziness to them, or they're just typically incredibly mediocre, and they fell so short. This is actually a pretty good record. I wouldn't say go out and buy this record, but if you saw this record for $1 or $2, it's worth buying for that. I think I paid $2.99 for it. It's worth buying for that because it's actually listenable. But I mean, spend $5 and buy any McCoy Tyner record on Milestone before you buy that. Next is Anthony Phillips, Private Parts and Pieces. Anthony Phillips was the first guitarist with Genesis. He was on From Genesis to Revelation, and I think it was Trespass. And then he left the band and was replaced by Steve Hackett. And this is one of his solo releases, and I've never heard of solo releases before. Picked this up for a couple bucks. It's fantastic. It's like really good early Genesis acoustic parts, and it has some keyboard, Moog, Synth Lab, anyway, whatever the hell they're called. It has some keyboard parts in it that have that Genesis feel to it as well. If you like the Lamb back, this will definitely appeal to you as a listener. and it's great. My copy sadly has a bad side too. I'll keep this until I find another, but I'm definitely looking for a better copy, but I can recommend that. Next is this is one from my childhood, the Monks' Bad Habits. They were a British band. This came out, I think, in '78. Typical. When I wanted to, it doesn't have a date on it. But this is a great record. This is Canadian pressing on Harvest. This has TLC-T in the dead wax. Some people think that that stands for the Lacquer Channel Toronto, and some people think the TLC-A stands for the Lacquer Channel Anaheim, but my understanding is that that's not the case. That was a code they used to troubleshoot which lathe they were using, because whenever they were starting to have some difficulties with the lathes, they would delineate between which lathe they were using, and that's what the thing was. Also has a little capital target stamp, like a circle within a circle with a line through it. So this is a great record. I mean, it's got Drugs in My Pocket on it. That is just an iconic classic song of that period. I mean, this is a total new wave record. 1979. It's total new wave, post-punk, whatever you want to call it, gem. It has Johnny Be Rotten on it, which I think is about Johnny Rotten. It's kind of almost a comedy song in a way. Nice Leg, Shame About Her Face, I Ain't Getting Any, Out of Work Musician, No Shame, Dear Jerry, Don't Try to Kill Me With Your Love, Norman, Love in Stereo, Skylab, Theme from the Monks. That's a really cool song. That's kind of like a surfy song that has that classic sound bite from that period of that kind of bleeping spaceship sound. The B-52s used it in, I think, Planet Claire. Other bands use that sound. Bad Habits, Inner City Kitty, Drugs in My Pocket, Johnny B. Rotten, Spotty Face. So this is just, it's a perfect kind of pop punky record from the day. Next is one of my favorite records. For years I loved this record. Had it on CD forever, finally got it on vinyl. This is Spirit of the West, Labor Day. Spirit of the West were a Vancouver-based, West Coast, Canadian-based Celtic folk rock band. And just probably the best Celtic folk rock band in Canada. Yeah. And this is on Stony Plain, which is a label I haven't shown before. Nothing interesting in the dead wax. The great thing about Spirit of the West is that they mix this incredible pop, Celtic, folk rock sound with just brilliantly well-written political lyrics. Songs about like Bukowski type characters. Profiteers is a song about in 1986. This record's from 1988, but in 1986, Expo 86 took place in Vancouver, and they evicted everybody who lived in kind of those tenement hotels and kind of places. They evicted them and they spruced up those hotels for all the tourists who were coming to Expo 86 to stay in. And there's a great song. I've always been a big supporter of gay rights, and back in 1987, 88, I mean, it was still a huge issue, and there's a song on there called Take It From the Source, which is about that cause, and about just needless hate around that issue. So, you know, it's kind of funny. When I was listening to this today, it's in many ways, in the world that I live in now, that song is not as necessary So it's kind of interesting how far we've come in almost 30 years, at least 25 years. But it still is, its message is still important. That's just a great record, and it sounds fantastic on vinyl. I'm totally blown away with how good it sounds, considering it's a CD from the digital age, but they must have recorded it, I don't know, maybe they recorded it analog. But very happy to find that. They have some other records. They have a record before that, and they have Save This House after that that are on vinyl. Unfortunately, I don't think anything else from their career is on vinyl. And they put out at least 5 or 4 really good albums. So, and the last is The Pleasure Principle by Gary Numan. And this has his probably most iconic hit, Cars, on it. This is on Beggar's Banquet. Nothing, again, interesting in the Dead Wax. This has a custom inner sleeve. This is just a great record. It mightn't be his best, but it might be his second best. So, I don't know. Your classic. This is another one of these records from when I was a teenager, like Monks. Your classic very early 80s or very late 70s. Yeah, 1979 again, the same year as the Monks. Synth rock, synth pop. Gary Numan's just iconic, and so just another great record. So that's day 2. I think, Fred, you might like some of these. You might be tired of them, maybe. You might have liked them at some point. I don't know. Anyway, Gary Numan, Pleasure Principle. I think it's a classic. I think it holds up really well. This is a gem. If you're into Celtic folk rock, that kind of Celtic pop almost that came out in the late 80s and early 90s in several countries around the world, you might be interested in that. You know, fiddle, tin whistle, all that kind of mixed with rock sensibilities. I think it's still a fun album. It still holds up. And this is a gem. And this is okay. I mean, it's the best electric musician I've heard, and I've listened to at least 20 of them, and usually they're incredibly crap. So, thanks for watching, everybody. That's day 2 of the Inbox Challenge 2. Have a great day. Keep the record spinning.